Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to give you an update of the last few weeks because life has been happening. And today I was just called and required to honor so much rest. And I feel like with all of the movement that I've been doing lately, especially traveling, walking everywhere where I was traveling to, like a lot of changing of directions, a lot of spontaneous plans and things coming through and coming together, right? Like there needs to be moments of rest in order to integrate all of the quickly facilitated change. Because the ways that we move through the world, whether it's according to plan or being spontaneous, we definitely need whether it's the rest at night or the rest in between all of our reps to integrate those changes. So welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jen. This is my channel. And my podcast is called Listen Carefully because I believe that we'll forget things, but that as long as we're listening, we can remember who we truly are, whether that's through our dreams, whether that's through moments of deja vu, whether that's through interpersonal relationship with others. Maybe it's interactions you're having where you kind of wake up to these moments of, oh my gosh, I remember who I am. I believe that when we listen, we get to care fully and we get to show up fully and be available for ourselves so that we can show up for our relationships, for the people in our lives that matter most. So that person that matters most, hopefully, is starting with yourself. And we're breaking old patterns and paradigms that say that focusing on self is selfish, right? Whether that ruffles feathers or not, like the only control that we do have is self. And while that's not as dramatic, right? When we focus our energy and intention and attention on ourselves, that is the place of empowerment. That is the place we get to create change. So much easier to externalize our power. Well, if only that was different, then I could do something else. Sorry, we're the change makers. We get to lean into the places that we are ready to step into those changes. So if you're here for self-empowerment, if you're here for growth, if you're here for evolution, this is the place for you. So welcome. So I just got back from London and Iceland, and such a great trip. I turned 30 when I was in Iceland. I attended a drumming circle and I attended a cacao ceremony when I was in Iceland, and it was powerful. It was beautiful. There was such a rich sense of community. There were so many different people from around the world that I got to be with, interact with. It was a very beautiful space, a very beautiful place, intersection of just different people coming together, passing through, staying, visiting. I think that, visiting different places in the world is so revealing for how we do life, let alone being in one place where so many parts of the world came together was very powerful. And I've never been told that I've had an accent before. And so it was cool to be seen for who I really am from people that had never seen that before. So I found that to be very interesting and definitely noticed the privilege it is to have a US passport and to be able to navigate the world, like what a gift, what a trip. I will say the trippiest thing was probably being 7 hours into the future and knowing that my world here was asleep during the world there when it was awake. And yeah, just literally being in a different world, getting to be submerged with different values. And I will say the food is so much more fresh. The food is so real. Just the markets are beautiful. The only other place I've ever felt like that was the farmer's market in Miami. But just getting to have real food, getting to be in a new place, definitely different. There are pros and cons, of course, for living in the US versus being somewhere in Europe. But yeah, it made me realize just how different it is to be from here, and how my lineage and my ancestry is from Central Europe, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Germany, England, right? Like all these places that my ancestors have been from, and not to mention it, or whatever I'm trying to say, not a coincidence, but generational patterns certainly surfaced to the surface while I was on my trip. So my sensitivities became even stronger, and my boundaries and requirements just needed to be honored that much more. Obviously, no matter what I'm doing, traveling especially, sleep is a priority. I don't drink caffeine, so if I'm not sleeping, I'm not functioning my optimal self. So that first day when I was jet lagged, I was pretty delusional, and I had to slow down a lot in order to know kind of, what I was doing and how to focus on where I was going. But I will say that from traveling, what I learned, got these nails done. I never have my nails done. And I got to go to a vegan nail artist in East London. And so fun to just be luxurious, give myself that gift, wander, be in the city. But yeah, but in terms of the generational patterns, needing sleep, loud noises were definitely a thing for me. I definitely got impatient if I wasn't taking care of my needs. But when you're traveling and when you're in transition a lot, and when it just takes a while to get to where you're going, when you're always on the go, it is challenging to have that sense of rootedness, that sense of groundedness. So as we were going on different excursions, we in London, got to swim in the Olympic pool, got to attend hold on a second. Every single time I sit down to record, it feels like there's always something, Huskies, German Shepherds, they always get my girl riled up. She can't handle it. Gosh, maybe one day it'll be different. But for now, as I'm speaking of sensitivities, Meraki's voice is making herself known, but it's so true. Like when we're in transition and when we're going through change, and land too, like the importance of land, the earth that we were staying on, right? Like just the place. There was so much magic transmuted from place that I just don't know how to put to words, but it was like that feeling of connection. Like, how sometimes people think that they have to go somewhere in order to feel a certain way, obviously you can tap into your vacation, freedom, energy. You can tap into that wherever you are. You can decide to tune into that frequency without actually having to be on a trip. But when you are on a trip, when you step away from the chaos of the mind, right? Like the structure of the schedule of the daily activities, when you just abandon all of the plans and you go on a vacation and you have a loose plan of like how the day may go, but in reality, you're kind of just living for the day, right? It's different. It's a different responsibility, because for me, being a therapist, being a parent coach, being somebody who receives mentorship for how to continue to evolve through the world as my highest self, as my grandest version of self now, which will be always ever changing. There is a duty that comes with that, and so to be off the clock in that sense, to not be holding the space for so many people, and to not be taking care of so many people and so many things, that paired with the richness of the land was just unbelievable, incredible, phenomenal. And yes, I do know it now so that I can tap into it whenever I want. But being in it, it is different. So we got to, what was I saying? Okay. Yes, this is what I was saying. So we got to do the Olympic pool in London. We got to do the ancient salt baths in London. We got to get massages. We got to get our nails done, right? Like the simple things of taking care of ourselves, feeling luxury while doing it. And then in Iceland, we got to snorkel along the continental divide. So I got to touch 2 continents at once, and it was called Silfra. And the water was so fresh that you could actually drink it. So every time when I was snorkeling and the water got in my little snorkel, I was drinking it. And we had to wear the wetsuit and the dry suit at the same time because the water was freezing. It was cold. And at the same time, I have been practicing face ice, kind of like cold plunging, putting your face in a bowl of ice for 15 seconds at a time. So my face could tolerate it, but surprisingly, my hands struggled the most with the gloves to stay warm. But interestingly enough, the procedure of like getting ready and decompressing that like took longer than the actual snorkeling itself. But it was so cool. I've never done snorkeling except for in the bathtub. So it's my first time snorkeling. And so that was definitely really powerful. After snorkeling, we did the whale watching and we got to see minke whales. And wow, just to see their tails gave me life. I don't know, gave me perspective. Like, oh, it was just so powerful. The whale watching was really powerful. And then we went to the vegan market. They had the largest vegan market in the world in Iceland. So that was obviously something we had to check out. The amount of ice cream flavors that they had was off the charts. And it's too bad that our hotel did not have a kitchen because we would have been getting more things from the vegan market. And then let's see, after the whales, the volcano. Oh my gosh, the active volcano. I can't remember the word in Icelandic, but the name of the active volcano meant little ram. And I don't have words for that because I did that on my birthday. So it was very much me one-on-one time, very much a humanness that I experienced of self-doubt, where it was 5 hours of hiking and I wasn't seeing anything. Like the hills were coming and I was like, okay, for sure when we get to the top of that hill, that's where the volcano is going to be. And then I would get to the top and it like wasn't there. So I just kept like setting up artificial expectations for myself. And then I kept letting myself down of like, why did I think that's what it was? But I think I was getting hard on myself because a lot of people were passing me. And so I just made up this story that like I didn't have enough time, which I got to lean into that because that's not the first time I've thought that, right? Like I particularly move a little bit slower through the world than the way my world moves around me. So it was a lesson for me that, Jen, as long as you stick to the path, you will get there and you're going to be great. You're going to get there exactly when you need to. But it's interesting that like, I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not getting there yet. It's interesting that that has the ability to like self-sabotage in such a way that like is punishing and is like, no, you're never going to get there. But it's like, we know if we stick to the path that eventually it will come. It's just like that deeper knowing of like, obviously it's coming. I'm on the path, period, the end, right? But I think that when the doubt creeps in, it is such a human part of us to remember that actually great things are worth the wait. So I'm thinking about my papa, actually, my dad's dad. He told me that August 2023, there would be great days ahead. He told me this in August of 2021. So obviously, right? I just thought that was special, and I'm thinking of that now. And I think the volcano, no pun intended, but pun intended, blew me away the most. Like, wow, what a way to erupt into my 30s. And not that we have to give meaning to it, but I love to celebrate the different milestones and to celebrate how far I've come and to celebrate everything that's happened on the journey. So Iceland was unforgettable. And just being near the Nordic Sea, being near the Arctic, just having that like dragon energy up, mermaid energy up, troll energy up. We got to go to the lagoons too, the Blue Lagoon and the Sky Lagoon, and there's so many more too. Makes me think of like the natural hot springs here. Although it was different because it was hot and cold at the same time. I can get overheated in the hot springs here, but I did not experience that there. I never got to the point of feeling overheated. So I really appreciated that. That was such a cool quality. And they had like fresh green juice and fresh carrot juice in the freaking lagoon. Like it was a dream. Everything that I could have thought of, they thought of, and it was always the little things. So I definitely experienced some high highs. I definitely experienced some gifts. I definitely experienced some magic drop in, whether that was through what was happening in my world behind the scenes, like just whether that was different emails that had came through or just different moments in time that were like in the happening, like while I was there. Oh, and I got to see Mrs. Doubtfire when I was in London, and that, oh my gosh, my grandpa raised me on that movie. Love it so much. Gave me goosebumps. The whole play was unreal, unbelievable. I know my grandpa was definitely with me. So yeah, just some magic that like I'll never forget. And just those moments that I'll never forget, I'll always cherish. They're so carved into my memory through my experience. And so as much as I'm here to relay what happened and give updates, I'm like remembering the feeling. It's almost like when you're done with the dream, but you can't find the words to describe the way it went. It just kind of has to play itself out. So I'm feeling so blessed. I'm feeling so thankful. I know I'm going to be back one day to especially Iceland and probably in the winter so I can see the northern lights, and to London because there's so much more to explore. I didn't really go deep when I was in London, which is totally fine. Got to spend time with my friend, got to get the best vegan food. By the way, London is the best vegan food in the world, so we had to, right? Like it's just these moments in life where it's like, you gotta, you gotta live it up because you're always worth it. And just never forget, spice it up, have fun, take time for yourself. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks. It can be a long weekend, give yourself that grace. I feel like the summer is a good time to do it since I work with kids because everybody's schedule's up in there anyway, I said that to my friend when we had the travel day. I was like, it looks like our plans are a little bit up in the air today, because that's the thing. When you're up in the air flying overseas, wow, there's just so much possibility. And you better bet that when we were flying over Iceland, I took a look out the window and I was watching for those whales because we were so zoomed out. But yeah, like today I was just feeling so restful. I have a few sessions left later on today. I was laying on the couch and resting and watching some YouTube. And I thought, let me do a podcast. Let me get in the groove. Let me fire myself up. But turns out I'm still feeling tired, which is completely fine. As we should after we wear ourselves out from a beautiful trip of travel. So I'm here to continue to rest, and I'm here to show up anyways. and wishing you all the best. And I'm here to just say that my trip was fantastic, and I'm so thankful that I was able to go. So cheers until next time. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm feeling ready to step into the new school year with all kinds of excitement and for whatever is to come, because I know that as kids return and as the schedule unfolds this time of the year, the rest of the year kind of speeds up. It's interesting how we can have 2 different school years in one calendar year. So I think we're going to go out with a bang this year. We're going to be filled with so many more surprises. There's going to be many more awakenings. People are going to continue to wake up to different levels of themselves. I'm here for it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you have a great day. Continue to rest. Continue to give yourself the space that you need, because you are the space that's creating miracles right now. Love you all so much. Take good care.